So I've been using BrainTap technology that you brought to the world for probably the past 6 months or so. And I definitely love what it's doing for me. And initially, I was very curious. Of course, when you're using this device to enhance brain health, I was curious about just how it works and why. Why is this light shining in my ears or in my eyes and the sound is making, like, how does that improve my health? So I want to kind of go in from how this came about and why you designed the system. And so maybe you can first talk about your journey a little bit and how you even came to the point of designing BrainTap.
Sure. Yeah, we can go back in time a little bit before you were born, probably, or just about the time you were born, maybe. I was 12 years old, and my dad just got help with his alcoholism, and he decided to train us all in a process called the Silva method, which was a way to relax using technology. And they use technology in the form of a cassette. So, and also a metronome and some other mechanical tools that we would use to relax the body. And the whole thing was about how do we get the body to relax and warm up the hands? Because that used to be the way we did it. Hand temperature, respiration. When your hands are warm, we now know that there's alpha activity. So we were doing a lot of biofeedback and that, but I started recording my own sessions when I was 12. And I just felt that, my dad, because he was a chronic alcoholic, I didn't hear a lot of 4-letter words that were love. I heard a lot of other ones. So, when my dad was speaking, even though he got help, I couldn't bring that terms in my mind, but it really helped. And then one thing led to the other. And I went to school for electronics. When people go, how did you got this degree in psychology? What are you doing with this piece of electronics? I went to school for electronics because, like most sons, I was not going to do what my dad did. That was my brother Michael could do that. I wasn't going to do that. But I was helping my dad through college. When I was going through college, I would help him with seminars because he owned the territory of Lower Michigan. And so I would go give seminars, and he just asked me, so do you want to give part of the seminar? And I started doing it in front of the group, and I liked it. And I didn't think I would do that. I was never the kind of person that was in front of people. I was in sports, but I was more like, I did it by my actions, not by my words, that kind of thing. But then my dad started letting me do more and more of the seminar. I started liking it. And then I thought, even though I have an undergraduate in electronics, I should go to school for psychology, because he also had a clinic. He worked with people with mostly addictions and things like that. And so because he had overcome addictions, he was kind of the go-to person for that. But then a series of events happened, actually, that we probably don't have time to go into here, but I went to a show in Vegas, and this is where I think the universe kind of answered prayers, because I ran into a company with a device called the SILS, a sensory input learning system. It was a big machine. It was about the size of a microwave. And when I got on it, it used lights, but it was like it used woodworking goggles. It was really, we're talking about in the, 80s. And this was 1985. And, earphones, and you're laying on the floor. They didn't even have zero gravity chairs, anything like we use now. But I had a trip like you wouldn't believe. And for me because I had meditated for years, even before then, I had this, and I said, I want one of those. And they said, you're in luck. It's only $10,000. Well, I'm like, I barely had enough money to get to Vegas. That wasn't going to happen. But then as I said, the universe was conspiring with me to make this happen, because during that event, unfortunately, Dr. Robinson, the guy who invented the SILS, died. And when I went back to the booth, they said, this guy made the SILS, but we don't even know how it works. His wife said he didn't leave anybody the plans. And I said, well, where are you going after this? And they looked at me and they said, well, we're going to Scottsdale. And I said, I have an office in Scottsdale, because my dad was working in Phoenix and I was working in Scottsdale. And I said, come down to my clinic. I said, I have a degree in electronics. Let me see if I can get this thing working. And one thing led to another, and I helped to create the first portable light and sound machine, because it was a prototype of this big unit that was $10,000. When I made the smaller one, I said, we could use this. And they're like, what do you mean? So like the old story goes, like you're building things in your garage. We were building things in my back office from a company here in the United States called Radio Shack. We'd go get all the pieces. We would burn they had what they call an improv burner. So we burnt the mechanical chip. We did everything in-house. And we built probably the first 500, we called it MC Square then. So then I'm the last man standing because I was a young guy then, when we started, and now I'm the old guy. But what happened was everybody else kind of left the business. But to me, it was more than just a business. To me, this was a lifestyle I wanted to teach people. And for me,
What
because
did
I
the
was just
machine
troubled.
do? I'm sorry to interrupt. What did the machine do exactly, and how?
Well, the machine did the lights for the eyes, what they call retinal flashing, and it did tones in the ears, but you had to manually do this. So it was like you took a technician. So you'd be watching their breathing, you would be measuring their hand temperature, and as they relaxed, you would change the frequencies. And so it was all done by hand. It was very labor intensive. So not only did it cost $10,000, you had to manually do it. And that was before what they called the EEPROM chip, which was the first programmable chip that came out. And we could then program what I was doing when I was pushing the buttons to make the lights flash, so it made a big difference. And we didn't know if it was going to work or not, but people went right to it. And, like in '89, I think, that we got an award, the best new gadget of the year at the Consumer Electronics Show. And we didn't even know what to expect. I mean, when we arrived, it was like aliens because, there was no cell phones, there was no CDs. Everything was done with cassettes. It was really bulky. And I mean, if I look at it now, it's really corny, but that's the way everything looks back in the '80s when you look at them, today, and everything's just evolved. And I've been in this, for me, I still feel like I don't even work. I just get to talk about things I love all day and, communicate with people and help, turn the light on for people.
I think I heard some patients were commenting that back in, I don't know if they were saying '70s or '80s, they have something similar like that. Is that what you were working on?
We were the first company to make one. There was nobody else who did this. We invented the whole space.
Okay.
So yeah, it was in the '80s, and we did a lot. When I first was going to conferences, kind of like what I do today, go and speak to doctors. But then I started a franchise company, so I kind of was disappeared for about 27 years and ran my franchise company. Then when I sold that, I reemerged and, got back out there, doing what I'm doing now, because I wanted to get it more out into the world. At first, when it was so novel that nobody knew about it, we had to have it in the clinic because we didn't really sell the equipment to people. We did if they were patients, but we didn't just have it available for everyone.